After getting my ass handed to me plenty of times on Battle.net, I've picked up on some pretty useful things. In the PvP tips and tricks series, I'm here to share these lessons with you so you don't have to learn them the hard way like me. Especially whereas we've got D2 Resurrected on the horizon, everyone should know these things. That being said, here's 4 more tips and tricks for Diablo 2 PvP. Let's dive in. Trick number 1, up smiting. Personally, I feel like my skill level as a paladin went up quite a bit when I put this trick in my arsenal. If you've ever used the skill smite before, you're probably familiar with its strengths and its drawbacks. One of its strengths is that it always hits your opponent, regardless of their defense, and they can't block it. It's also an incredible way to stun your opponent, and God forbid you trap them on a puddle when you do it, it can be GG. The drawback to this skill and to some others though is that you have to directly click on your opponent's name for this to work. If you're not directly clicking on your opponent's name and you're just smiting near them, your smite won't hit them. You have to directly click on them. This can be especially problematic when you're dueling against players that summon a lot of pets. It can also be problematic when someone suspects that you don't have them name locked and they try to throw in a sneaky telly stomp. But up smiting can help you in these circumstances. To up smite, simply center your cursor directly under your character's feet, hold shift, and repeatedly click smite. This will practically ensure that you grab your opponent's name when they telestomp you and can really discourage them from doing it again. You'll want to be ready to click and hold when they land on you though. This can set you up for more smites, or if they happen to get away, can set you up for a chain lock. This is why it's particularly useful for Hammerdins to carry a Grief with them in their stash for the Wind Druid matchup. Without this technique, that matchup falls significantly out of your favor as a Hammerdin, and your opponent will probably recast pets and telestomp you for the whole duel. This technique can turn those types of matchups into more of a chess match than a slaughter fest. And speaking of discouraging people from telestomping you, up charging is technique number 2. Sometimes when you're retreating with charge, players can telestomp you, which will not only guarantee them a good hit if they time it well, but can also leave you stuck on them, guaranteeing them even more hits. Assuming you have a weapon that does a reasonable amount of damage, upcharging can be an effective way to remain offensive even while you're retreating with charge. To upcharge, simply hold your cursor at the very edge of your screen and hold shift to charge. This works best on the upper corners of your screen and can be hit or miss if you try to do it anywhere else. If your opponent telestomps you while you're doing this, instead of getting stuck on them, your opponent will get stuck on you in a full range charge animation and keep getting attacked by charge over and over. It's possible for some of these charges to miss due to their defense or to be blocked. However, the sheer volume of attacks here is what matters. One big hit is almost guaranteed to get through, or even 5 or 6 smaller ones. Most importantly though, your opponent will be knocked back and stunned if they're not PK'd on the spot, which will by the very least give you the window that you're looking for to create the space that you need. To recap how to do this, simply don a heavy hitting weapon, put your cursor on the far side of your screen, and charge away. As soon as your opponent telestomps you, they're almost guaranteed to eat a charge. Technique number 3, CT shooting. You might remember CT casting or CT teleport from my first ever tips and tricks video. Bringing up your character screen or skill tab can give you leverage in casting a lot of different skills. We see some very skilled casters do this in PvP for the Diablo Fighting Championship. I also use CT teleport in my Uber Tristram speedruns. It's just a good way to cast skills further than you can see on your screen. CT shooting is useful as well. This is most useful for characters that have homing skills, such as Guided Arrow or Bone Spirit. If you name lock your opponent with these skills, they'll seek them forever. But if you can't name lock them, you can use CT shooting. Usually these skills only seek your opponent as far as you can click, but if you CT shoot, it'll seek them from further away. To do this, simply hit C or T to bring up the character screen or the skill tab in the most appropriate direction that you're trying to shoot. From there, click and hold the skill that you intend to shoot somewhere near your character, and then drag it over that C or T screen to shoot even further. If done properly with a homing skill, it will actually seek your opponent from a further distance. Let's end things on a simpler note with a technique I call leading. Leading refers to using your ranged attacks to protect you while you advance your position. This can take many forms: hammers, bone spirits, ice blasts, fireballs, arrows, etc. Leading can be used to advance your position towards your opponent or to protect you while casting a more vulnerable skill. To do this, simply fire a few of your ranged projectiles in a straight line or predictive pattern, then move into the line of fire to protect yourself with your previous missiles. I use this all the time when switching to my Widowmaker on my Vanquisher. Having a bow out can present a good opportunity for a stomp, but if you've guarded your position with a few hammers, this can back you up pretty well. You'll want to perform this technique with some intent behind it though, and not just spam projectiles. Leading should be used to advance your position while providing you some added protection in the Bloodmoor. And there you have it, 4 more tips and tricks for D2 PvP. If you're looking to learn more things like that, desync, weapon swap, glitching, chain locking, etc., feel free to check out this playlist and some of the videos up there that we've done before. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.